today, we decided to invite all of you to become members of the society. The membership is $25 per individual annually, or $40 for the family. Thank you. And now I invite Robert to introduce Mataji.
Still good. Setting up here. Welcome everybody to the second talk on this visit by Pravrajika Gayatriprana. The topic for tonight is fundamental reality of man. There will be some time for questions and answers after the talk, and then you're all invited to stay back for some dinner. We will also listen to a guided meditation by Revered Pravrajika Gayatriprana after the question and answer session. And tomorrow we'll be having a retreat in the home of Namala and David Koo from 2:50 to 5 p.m. The theme for the retreat is Be You Merely an Instrument, and afternoon tea will be provided. So you're most welcome to attend in. I've got a few extra copies of the program here, so you can get one if you need. And we've got a donation plate in front of the shrine, or donation bowl in front of the shrine there. And that's to help meet the expenses of bringing these nuns of Sri Sharadam up to Adelaide and other associated expenses. And we always welcome your help in that way. So now we'll invite Gayatriprana to give her talk.
Om Asato ma sadgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityorma amritam gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, lead me from the unreal to the real. Lead me from darkness to light. Lead me from death to immortality. Om, peace, peace, peace. What is the nature of human beings? What happens after death? Why are we here? Why are we in bondage? How are we to attain freedom? These are some of the universal questions concerning all human beings. However, as long as we have health, wealth, and a comfortable and successful life, we don't feel the need to probe into these questions. But in the life of everybody, sometime or other, things go wrong. We think everything is going smoothly. Suddenly something may go wrong. Even if you are a young person in the prime of youth, having a good job, nice income, have healthy, wealthy, happy family, something may go wrong. A blow comes in the form of some disease, death, poverty, suffering, and then our mind turns towards these deeper questions. Till then, we are happy with our day-to-day life, everything is going on smooth. We don't care about these deeper questions. What happens? Why am I here? What is happening? These questions don't arise. But then, when these blows come, then we start thinking, this is all? So Swami Vivekananda, in one of his lectures given in London, he says, to the person who never finds a moment to question the credentials of his senses. See, person never finds a moment to question the credentials of his senses, whose every moment is occupied with some sort of sense enjoyment. Even to him, death comes. And he also is compelled to ask, is this real? Religion begins with this question and ends with its answer. Till this question arises in the mind, we don't feel like probing about deeper things. We are happy with our day-to-day life, eating, sleeping, enjoyment, happy. But then when something goes wrong, then we start asking, is this all real? Is this all in life? Every day getting up, going to work, come back, get ready for the next day's work. Is this all in life? What's the meaning of all this existence like this? This arises. And then comes what? So what is real in this? Everything is constantly changing. Who am I? What am I doing here? These questions comes. And then we start to think deeply. Till then we are floating on the surface. We don't think anything deep. We are happy with that. But when these shocks come, the sudden shock come, then we start thinking. Shankaracharya, in one of his composition, famous one, Bhajagovindam, he says, Kastvam koham kuta ayata, kame janani kome mata, iti paribhavaya sarvam asaram, vishwam tyaktva swapna vicharam. Who am I? And who are you? What is the place from which I came? Who is my mother? Who is my father? Pondering thus, perceive them all as fancies only, without substance. Give up the world as an ideal dream. Well, it's very hard to practice when we see everything is going on smooth, fine. How can we say this is all unreal? He says, pondering them all as fancies, without any substance. Give up the world as an ideal dream. So let's look at his questions that he's asking. Custom koham. Who am I? Who are you? When I ask the question, who am I? What will you say? I'm so and so, living in this such and such an address, doing such and such a job. We have got all that. Often people identify themselves with their profession. Their whole identity is in their profession. So when they retire, what happens? Are they become nobodies? Is the profession there? Before they got into the profession, didn't they exist? After they retire, don't they exist? So how can you identify yourself with your profession? It's only for a short time. But that's what usually we do. And all this identification, when I say I am so and so, living in such and such a house, or doing such and such a job, we are identifying with our body. But body is constantly changing. When as a child, I didn't have this body. They say within 12 years, every cell in the body changes. So how many bodies you have changed already? From the time we are born till now, how many bodies you have changed? But we think we are the same. That is why Shri Krishna in the Gita says, the person goes through the stages of birth, growth, youth, adulthood, old age. And that's all changes, the same body, the same person. So just another change, death, and then continue, then again rebirth. So in all that, what is constant there? I. You ask any person, who are you? What are you? Everybody will say, I am so and so, I am this. So I is common in everybody. That I can be the only true thing. Everything else is changing. The body is changing. What about the mind? Mind is also constantly changing. Sometimes the mind is happy, sometimes the mind is sad. And we also always say, I'm happy, I'm sad, my mind is completely confused. So it's all that's also changing. And again, when we identify ourselves with the body, I say, I am so and so. But when we speak about the body, I say my body. My body is really tired. I am really tired. My body is weak. So when I say my body is weak, that shows that I'm not my body. Just as when I say my cloth is dirty, I'm different from the cloth. Similarly, I'm different. I'm not my cloth, it's my cloth. And again, I say my body, that means I'm not the body, it's my body, I'm different from the body. Every single person, all of us say, my. It means my body, I'm not the body. That's it. For everybody it says. So in this universe, everything is constantly changing. Body is also changing. Is there anything which is without change? Anything which is not changing, only that in Vedanta we say as a real thing. Anything which is changing is not real because it was not there before in that particular state. It is at present, it is there for a short period of time. And in the future, it won't be there, it will be changing. So anything which is changing is not real. That's why Vedanta say the world is unreal, because it's constantly changing. Constantly changing, so it is unreal. Things which are not changing, which is there in the past, which is there now in the present, and which will be there in the future, only that is, according to Vedanta, is a real thing. And what is that? If you look at what we say, from the child who starts able to speak, we say I. Every single person will say I. So that is real. But that I often changes because the I is identified with we identify out that I with the body, mind, intellect, ego. The real I is something different. Our real nature, Swami Vivekananda says, our reality consists in the universal and not in the limited. Our real nature is ever-present, unchanging Atman, or the self. Self means with a capital S, not a small s. Small s we use for being selfish or selfless, all that small s. But our real nature is self, the big self, capital S, the infinite, the eternal, the unchanging reality. And when we speak about that unchanging reality, which is beyond in the whole universe, we call it Brahman. And the unchanging reality within our individual body, we call it Atman. But both are same, one and the same. Brahman and Atman are one and the same. Though our real nature is this eternal, ever pure, ever blissful Atman, we identify ourselves with the body, mind, and consider ourselves bound, weak, mortal. See, if you ask anybody how much you are doing spiritual practices, then you can see the answer coming. Oh, what are we do? We are worldly-minded people. No, we are the eternal Atman, ever-present Atman. Nobody thinks about that. We always identify with this body and think we are weak, we are mortal. So we have to realize our divine nature and manifest that divinity. We have to realize our divine nature. And that we have to tell ourselves. At present, we are deluded. We have hypnotized ourselves to believe that we are weak, we are limited, we are bound, we are mortal. We are not. We are that immortal, unlimited, infinite, ever-present Atman. We have to realize the divine nature. And that is the aim and end of all spiritual practices, to realize our divine nature. So Swami Vivekananda defines religion as the manifestation of divinity already in man. It's not that you have to bring in divinity, it is just you have to manifest. It is there. It's covered. It's covered, so you have to manifest it. That's all. Now, why do we consider ourselves as limited, weak, mortal beings? They give different, a few reasons why we consider ourselves as weak, we are as mortal. What is that prevents us from manifesting the divinity? If the divinity is already there, why are we not able to manifest it? What's preventing us? One reason, the main reason they say, is ignorance. We do not know that we have that divine perfection within us. So we go round and round searching for it. It's already within us, but we go around everywhere searching for it. It's all the time within us, just that we are not aware of it. There is the example they give about the musk deer. The musk grows in the navel of the deer, one particular type of deer, and it emits the strong fragrance. The deer runs around searching for the origin of the fragrance, from where the fragrance is coming, the source of the fragrance. Runs and runs. They say they run around so much, in the end it collapses. Doesn't know from where the fragrance is coming. It's all the time coming from its navel. We are like that. We are going around searching for God, searching for divinity, while it's all the time within us. So Swami Vivekananda says, after long searches here and there, in temples and in churches, in earths and in heavens, at last you come back, completing the circle from where you started. We run around looking for it, looking for the divinity. At last you come back, from completing the circle from where you started to your own soul, and find that he for whom you have been seeking all over the world, for whom you have been weeping and praying in churches and temples, on whom you are looking as the mystery of all mysteries, shrouded in the cloud, is nearest of the near, is your own self, the reality of your life, body, and soul. That is your own nature. So it is there within us. Assert it, manifest it. Then Swamiji makes a bold statement, not to become pure, you are pure already. You are not to be perfect. You are that already. We say, oh, you had to become pure, you had to become perfect. No, Swamiji says, no, you are not to become perfect, you are not to become pure, because you are already pure. You're already perfect. Just that you had to manifest it. That's all. So we are not to acquire perfection. You are not to acquire infinity, but you are that already. Just that it is not manifested. That's all. So simple. Once you realize, you manifest it, you become infinite. That is nothing, you are getting something from outside, no. You are that. They say, give an example, a story about, to give, explain this. A prince, when he was newborn, it was abducted by somebody. Maybe some enemy king who didn't want to have an heir to the throne. So the little baby was brought up by a potter. The child grew up as a potter, played with other children of that locality, and believed it's a potter. But then the king and the queen had the deep feeling the child is living alive somewhere. And they, after long search, found this child. And there was some birthmark, so they could identify the child was brought as a young boy. Once it come to the palace, now what does the child thinks? Doesn't think anymore as a potter, it thinks as a prince. Now, did the child acquire something from outside? No, it was the prince all the time. Now it realized that it's a prince. That's all. That it was the prince, the child was prince all the time, not a potter's son. But now it have got the realization that it's a prince. Same with us. We are that infinite Atman, ever present, ever conscious, ever blissful. That we had to realize, that's all. We manifest it. Another example is often we speak about is there's a screen in front of a beautiful scenery. And there's a hole in the screen. If you look at through the hole, we can see a part of the scenery. Maybe just a few plants, not much. But if you make the hole bigger, you can see more. And as you go on making the hole bigger and bigger, more and more of the scenery can be seen. And if you remove the screen completely, the whole screen is taken off, you can see the whole scenery. Did the scenery change in any way? No. The scenery is remaining the same. But how come we are seeing more and more? More and more is manifested. The ignorance is removed. That's all. So ignorance is one of the main reason why we are not manifesting that divinity. Another reason they say is the agitation of the mind. Our mind is so disturbed, so agitated that we are not able to manifest that divinity. The mind is compared to a lake. If the surface of the lake is in ripples, you can't see the bottom of the lake. The water is crystal clear. The bottom, there's a lot of pebbles, fish, everything is there. But the surface of the lake is full of waves, broken into waves. You can't see anything at the bottom. If the surface is become waveless, free from waves, no ripples, then you can see the bottom. Our mind is like that. This Atman, the self, is always there present. But because our mind is so disturbed, we are not able to manifest that. We are not able to see it. And what is causing this disturbance? The external stimuli, the things that come from the external world, all the five senses bring in impressions from the external world, and that is disturbing our mind. And then internal stimuli, our hopes, plans, desires, that's also disturbing. Memories, they keep on, all these external stimuli and internal stimuli both keep the mind in a state of disturbance, completely disturbed all the time. So we have to learn to keep the mind calm. Another reason for not manifesting this divinity which is already within us is the desire for possession and attachment to those possessions. Even when we realize that these things only bring misery, we get attached to them. In the Patanjali's Yoga Sutra, he says, afflictions, pain-bearing afflictions. For that, he says, even the pleasures that we enjoy, Patanjali describes as pain-bearing, because we are enjoying some pleasure, but we worry that that particular event or thing or person that is giving us happiness, that will come to an end. We worry about that. And when it happens, really finishes, then we get upset. So even while they're enjoying the pleasures, we are worrying about it's going to finish. So that's why even happiness, pleasure giving things, Patanjali describes as pain-bearing afflictions. So we know that these possessions will give us pain, but we are attached to that. We can't give it up. We want to enjoy, but actually they are enjoying us. There's this funny story about catching the blanket. I don't know whether you have heard about it. A flood, during the flood time, the river is overflowing, and the people on the village, they are standing at the bank of the river, looking at the flood waters going. So many things are floating in the flood water. Suddenly one of them said, "Hey, there's a big blanket floating. Let me go and get the blanket. It will be useful because villagers, they are poor." So he jumped into the water and caught hold of the blanket. Then he's still going along with the current. So the people, others on the river bank called out him, "Come back, come back. Why don't you come back?" He said, "I can't." Let the blanket, you leave the blanket and come back, swim back. "No, I have left the blanket, but the blanket is not leaving me. It was a bear." So that's the case with all of us. We are coming to enjoy, but the things are enjoying us. Bhartrihari in his Vairagya Satakam says, we have come to this world to enjoy, but the world is enjoying us. We think that we are enjoying, but actually the world is enjoying us, and then leave us crushed throughout. And another reason for not manifesting our divinity is the false self-consciousness. We identify with the little individualized ego. When we say I say, no, I have realized I'm not the body, mind. I'm the ego, I. But that is the little ego, individualized ego. That is not the real self. That ego is connected with all the body, mind, psychophysical system. And we have to dehypnotize ourselves, because at present, that little ego thinks that I'm weak, I'm mortal. As Swami Vivekananda in his lecture says, we think ourselves as sheep, we are lions. You know the story? How a lioness full with baby was fell in the water, and in that gave birth and died. And somehow the cub came to not like that. The lioness pounced on a flock of sheep. In that effort, she gave birth to the baby, but she died. Now the cub grew up with the flock of sheep. Now it imitated what the sheep is doing, eating grass, bleating like the sheep. And gradually, in course of time, it grew into a huge lion. Still, it ate grass and bleated like the sheep. One day, another lion pounced on this flock of sheep, and to its surprise, saw a huge lion running away, bleating like the sheep. What is this? A huge lion among the sheep, bleating like sheep. So, to solve the mystery, that lion, the new lion, I should say wild lion, waited an opportunity, and when it found this sheep lion alone, caught hold of it. And the sheep lion started bleating. And said, "You are not a sheep, you are a lion. Roar like me." And roared. "No, no, no, I'm a sheep," it bleated. Swamiji says. Then, no, it dragged it to the a pool of water and showed, look at your face. Look at my face. You are same as me, lion. And it looked at the reflection, found, yeah, that my face is just like its face. Then it put a piece of meat into the mouth of the lion. First it refused because it was bleeding. But then it got the taste of blood and enjoyed. And then the lion roar like me. So that's, Swamiji says, this is how we are. We think we are sheep. We are bleating like sheep, but we are actually lions. We have hypnotized ourselves to think that we are weak, we are mortal, but we are immortal. It's so the body only that goes. We are not going to die. It's the body that dies. I never die. Now, how are we to dehypnotize ourselves? How we all hypnotize. Now, how are we going to dehypnotize ourselves? How are we to develop the power to distinguish between this little ego, little self, going around in the world as I'm so important, I'm so big, I'm so powerful, I'm so rich, I can do anything. That's what we see in the world. Identifying with the psychophysical system. That's a little ego. And how are we to distinguish between this little ego and the deeper, larger self? The silent witness standing at the background. Vedanta gives a three-tiered discipline. Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam. Shravanam, first you have to hear about it. We hear about this great truth. I am that infinite Atman. We hear about it. The great teachers tell us that in the Upanishads, you are that. You are that infinite Atman. You are not this weak psychophysical system. You are an infinite Atman. You are. So we hear about it. Now hearing also includes reading. Then once you have heard about it, you have to think about it deeply. What we usually do, we go on listening to lectures, attending lectures, reading books. Go on doing that. But do we think about deeply? What we have heard about it, we have to think about it deeply. And after deep thinking will help us to develop the conviction about the nature of the truth. Unless you think about it deeply, you won't, it will just hear through one ear and go out through the other. It won't become your own. You are not assimilating, you have to think. And then slowly the conviction comes about the nature of the truth. And also the possibility of attaining that truth will be generated in the mind. So Swami Vivekananda says about this, repeating this or thinking about deeply about this great truth, he says, repeating that, Tattvamasi, thou art that. Repeat it to yourself day and night. I am that, I am that. Many people, Sri Ramakrishna says in the gospel, he asks people to do repeat the name of God. And he says even those people who are following the path of Advaita, they repeat, Soham, I am that, I am that. I am that infinite Atman. So somebody says, repeat it to yourself day and night, till it enters into your very veins, till it tingles in every drop of blood, till it is in your flesh and bone. Let the whole body be full of that one ideal. I am the birthless, the deathless, the blissful, the omniscient, the omnipotent, ever glorious soul. Think on it day and night. Think on it till it becomes part and parcel of you, your life. Just thinking for a few days or think for a short time, just after listening, that's not enough. Think of it all the time, day and night, till it becomes part and parcel of your life. And once you are establishing that idea, you won't be moved even by the greatest fear or pain or even death. Nothing will move you. Even at the face of death, you will be establishing that idea. There's an incident about a monk, an ascetic in the Himalayas. Some of the disciples of some Sri Ramakrishna, when they were in the Himalayas, they have witnessed that a monk was sitting and meditating and repeating Om. Suddenly a tiger pounced on him, caught hold of him, and dragged him into the forest. But as long as they could see, they were on the opposite side of the opposite bank of the river. As long as they could see, the monk kept on repeating Om, Om, Om. And then the tiger disappeared into the forest till they could hear his chanting Om. There's no fear. I'm that Om, infinite Atman. There is this in the story of Alexander. Alexander, when he came to India, he was told that there are many wise men in India. And so his teachers told, if you get a chance, try to meet one of those wise men, the yogis, the sages. So Alexander sent his commander to search for one. He found a yogi sitting in the forest. And then the commander went up to him and said, the emperor would like you to come. He said, why should I come? I'm quite happy here. Why should I bother to come to your emperor? Well, if the emperor is so keen, let him come here. So this commander went and told Alexander, well, I had to see what sort of great wise man this is this person. So he came there and again questioned him, talked to him, then said, you have to come back with me to Greece. He said, I'm not interested. I don't want to. Well, then he turned to threatening. If you don't come, I am the emperor. I am all powerful. I can kill you. This yogi burst out laughing. You kill me? You foolish man, you think you can kill me? You may kill this body. You cannot kill me. See, that knowledge of that you're the Atman gives you fearlessness. Fearlessness comes that you are that infinite Atman. Nothing can make you afraid. That is one of the results of realizing the Atman. We may now at present, whatever we do, we want to find out what will I gain from doing that? What do I gain by following these spiritual practices? What do I gain by realizing who I am? What's the point of listening to all these talks and things? What do I gain? What's the utility? One of them is you attain fearlessness. Nothing can frighten you. When you realize that you are that infinite Atman, nothing can frighten you. You become fearless. The greatest fear we have is of death. But when you realize that you are that infinite Atman, you will never die. The body may die outside. You are that infinite Atman, you become fearless. Another reason why we should follow this practice of realizing your infinite Atman is that you become happy. Really, really happy. What are we all searching for? We all want happiness. We all doing everything in this world just to be happy. We are going to work, we are raising the family, doing our spiritual practices, all because we want to be happy. The possessions won't give you happiness. Wealth won't give you happiness because they're all changing. Even health won't give you happiness because health won't stay all the time. We are bound to become, sometime or other, we become sick. The health won't last forever. But when you realize that infinite Atman, you go beyond the stage of attachment. Then you won't have any attachment, you'll be really, really happy. We go beyond the stage of happiness and misery. The ordinary happiness that we get from the external world, from the things in the world, experiencing all the sense pleasures, is always followed by misery. But when we realize that we are infinite Atman, we go beyond this ordinary happiness and misery. We become really blissful. That is the real happiness. And another reason why we should realize our infinite Atman, divinity, divine nature is it will make us unselfish. You don't have to practice any, go to the temple or do any worship. Unselfishness is being unselfish itself. It leads you to that realization of the divine infinite Atman. Because unselfish means you are not attached to the little self. You are given up the little self. Then you become the infinite Atman. The little self, our little self is like a jar immersed in the infinite ocean. There's water inside the jar. There's water inside, water outside. But if the jar is broken, what happens? Nothing happens. The ocean becomes ocean. The water inside and water outside becomes one. Nothing has changed. The jar, only the jar was separating the water inside and outside. The jar is gone, the water has become one. So nothing is, we are not going to lose anything. We realize that we are that infinite ocean. At present, we think that we are that tiny bit of water inside the jar. But when the jar is broken, we realize that we are that infinite ocean. That is what unselfishness gives. When ignorance of this immortal, pure, perfect spirit make us think we are limited beings and we become selfish. We want everything for me and mine. For myself, my family, my friends, my community, everything is connected with me and mine. But when we realize that we are that infinite Atman, the same divinity is present in all, then we don't no longer distinguish between me and you. We become enlarged, we become unselfish. There is no more us and them. There's no more distinction. We become all realized one. But that does not mean that we don't see evil. We don't see injustice. Now, we are not becoming fools like that. Sri Ramakrishna says there's the presence of God is in every being. That does not mean that you go and hug a tiger. The tiger, God is present in the tiger also. So why don't I go and hug the tiger? No, God is present in tiger also, but I keep my distance. God is present in the wicked person also, but I keep my distance. God is present in the evildoer also, but I keep my distance. And if I see the person doing something harming another person, I try to stop that. Then finally, I should say, this realization of the infinite Atman gives us freedom. Freedom from the senses. At present, we all have got, we say we are all free citizens, we are free citizens of Australia. Yes. How much freedom we have got? We have got freedom to go around wherever we want to, within the limits of the law. We have got freedom to practice our faith. We have got freedom to raise our children as we want. We have got freedom to work, everything we have got. But these are all freedom of the senses. But we are not really free. Our senses tell us what to do. We are slaves. My eyes ask me to see this, I have to see. My ears ask me to hear the sound, I have to hear that. However much I try, I'm not under the control. I don't have control over my eyes and ears or the five senses. When my body says sleep, however much I want to keep awake, I fall asleep. So where is my freedom? I don't have any freedom. We are under the control of our senses. But real freedom is freedom from the senses. A really free person is a person who has control over the senses, free from the clutches of desires, passions. Person who has realized God, realized that that person is Atman, that person is really free. So the rest of us are all actually slaves. We don't have any freedom. But we have our bondage, we have bound ourselves with may not be iron chains, but gold chain. We think we are all free. So Swamiji, in his Song of Sannyasin, he says, slave is slave, caressed or whipped. You are patting, but still you are a slave. Whether we are being whipped, still slave. Okay. Slave is slave, caressed or whipped, not free. For fetters, though of gold, are not less strong to bind. Within the gold fetters, gold chain, you are bound. Whether it is chain is made of gold or iron, you are bound. You are not free. But really, a person who has realized that Atman, infinite Atman, or realized the real nature, that person is really free. Whatever happens, that person is not disturbed. We can see that in the life of Sri Ramakrishna. Towards the end of his life, he had suffering from cancer, excruciating pain due to cancer. He can't talk, he can't eat, he can't swallow because of cancer of the throat. And but talk about God goes on all the time. Even when he can't speak much, he will maybe whisper in a few words, in a low tone, a few words, or through actions, and listen. Others will be talking, and then singing goes on. Especially sometimes professional musicians are brought in by their devotees. They sing, sometimes Narendra sing. All that goes on all day and night. It was a stranger, if he had come, he wouldn't know that Sri Ramakrishna was suffering from the fatal cancer. Because it's a, the room was full of bliss. Everybody could palpably feel that bliss. There's no consciousness of suffering. It's free from suffering of the body. Freedom was there. He was always in bliss. You can, Sri Ramakrishna, you say, oh, well, he's a great soul, he's an incarnation. Even another disciple of Sri Ramakrishna, the Swami Shivananda, in his life also be the same thing. He had severe asthma. He couldn't sleep at night, day after day, sleepless night. He'll be sitting and spending the whole night because he couldn't sleep. But in the morning, when the other monks came and asked, how are you? He said, I'm fine. There was a little bit of wheezing was there for the body, but I'm fine. So I'm not the body. The body was suffering, but I'm not the body. I'm fine. I'm happy. I'm cheerful. So these are some of the utilities why we should practice. We get happiness. We get fearlessness. We become unselfish and we will be free. These are the reasons why we should realize our real nature, what we really are. Because we are all seeking happiness. And real happiness is only in the infinite. When we realize that we are that infinite Atman, then we are really free, we are happy. That's why Sri Ramakrishna was always happy. Even when he was suffering, he was happy. Happy means in a blissful state. One day, one of his disciples, Swami Turiyananda, at that time he was Harinath. He asked Sri Ramakrishna, how are you, sir? Sri Ramakrishna said, see, with this wound in the throat, he was referring to the cancer, it's so hard, so painful. I can't swallow, I can't speak, I can't sing, because that was one of his great pastime. He used to sing devotional songs all the time. So I'm suffering so much. Then Harinath said, but I see that you are in a state of bliss all the time. Then he said, oh, you caught me. You caught me. This misery, suffering solely for the body. But he was in a state of bliss all the time. That's what we get when we realize that we are not the body, but we are that infinite Atman.
Time for questions and answers.
Anjani, you had to ask a question. You have to start. Somebody has to start, and Anjani is the one to start.
Today, but from yesterday.
Yeah, of course, you can bring it the rest of the days.
You said that, that miracles and all, I understand that miracles are just a byproduct. You'll get those siddhis as you progress. But how is ordinary people, how will they know this person is holy or something? What is the guideline for us? That's why for me then, yeah, was that miracle that tells me that yes, he's realized soul or what, he's holy. But if there's nothing else, how are we to know?
Miracles are not the sign of holiness, because doing the psychic powers can, as I said yesterday, that can cause the downfall. So don't think that psychic powers and the siddhis doing miracles is a sign of holiness. But the real sign of holiness is in that presence of that person, your mind will rise to a higher level. Automatically, your mind will settle down. The thought of God come to your mind in that presence of the holy person. That is a real sign of holiness. In that person's company, your mind will naturally think about God. There is one instance in the life of Swami Brahmananda. He was staying in Bhubaneswar, the capital of Orissa. Then at that time, people go sightseeing, especially from Calcutta. Often people used to go to Bhubaneswar because next to there is a Puri Jagannath temple. So go there, come to Bhubaneswar. And so two young men had come from Calcutta. They went to Puri, finished the temple, came to Bhubaneswar and stayed in a small hotel and asked the hotel manager, what is there to see here? Oh, nothing much. There's a Ramkrishna Mutt is there. And the president of the order is there. Oh, do you go there? Oh, no, that's all for big people. Oh, they think they are so big. Oh, then why don't people teach him a lesson? Oh, what can we do? What can I do? We are just ordinary people. All these big guns go there. Well, we'll go and teach him a lesson, put him in his place. Then they went. The two young men went to the ashram. Just before they reached there, the Swami told, when visitors come, send them to me. But that's not the usual time. It's a time for Swami's rest. But Swami has given special instruction to his attendant that when visitors come, send them to me. And they saw these two young men, bit rough. And well, because Swami's instruction, so send them to his room. And Swami closed the door and said, you go away. The attendant didn't want to go away because they looked a bit rough. But Swami insisted that he goes away. So attendant had no choice. He had to close the door and go away. But he stayed a bit outside on the veranda. After some time, he could hear loud laughter coming from the room. After going on, loud laughter. What's happening inside, he didn't know. After some time, they went, the door opened, the two young men left and went back to the hotel. And the hotel manager asked, what happened? Did you teach them a lesson, good lesson? He said, the young man said, we saw for the first time a really, really happy person. So in his presence, their mind was elevated. So that's a sign of real holiness. In the presence of a holy person, your mind will be elevated. Doing miracles is not a sign of holiness. The same in Bhubaneswar only, a professor of the university used to visit the Ramkrishna ashram, and he became very friendly with some of the young monks. So one day the professor said, what sort of holy people are you? You don't have any psychic powers, no siddhis. What sort of holy people are you? Then they kept quiet and they told Swami Brahmananda, and Swami Brahmananda then replied, it's so easy to acquire siddhis, the psychic powers, but that it's really hard to develop a proper, strong, noble character. That's a sign. If you're progressing in spiritual path, you have developed a strong character, noble character, which cannot be swayed by anything. That's a sign of holiness. That's a sign of spiritual progress, not acquiring siddhis. Siddhis anybody can acquire. You do strong in meditation and pranayama for quite some time, you get a siddhis. That's nothing. That's actually an obstacle. It comes actually, but you go forward. Don't pay any attention.
Question?
Sorry, what are the ways of manifesting one's divinity?
What are the ways of manifesting divinity? That I said what they say, Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam. Hear about it first, that you are the divine being, you are that infinite Atman, or if you are more into the path of devotion, think that you are a child of God, you are a servant of God. Then try to think about deeply. Just hearing is one do. You have to think about it. Think, reason out it. If I am that I am that infinite Atman. Think about it and slowly, as said, Swami Vivekananda said, repeat it to yourself again and again. At present, we have hypnotized ourselves to believe that we are mere mortal beings. See, from the childhood, what are we telling the child? You are so and so. You are, this is your name, identifying with the body. Touch the child's body and say, you are so and so, then give the name. So the child identifies with the body. We never tell the child, you are that infinite Atman. That you have to give. In the Upanishad, there is one story. Here and there, they give story. There is a story of, not Upanishad, in the Mahabharata, comes the story of Queen Madalasa. She used to rock the baby in the cradle, repeating, you are that infinite Atman. Nityosi, Shuddhosi, Niranjanosi. You are that Nitya, eternal. Shuddhosi, you are the ever pure. Niranjanosi, without any blemish. You are telling the newborn child in the cradle, you are repeating that. So the child grows up hearing that. That is hearing, and then it becomes part and parcel of the child. Nothing will frighten them. That is Shravanam, Mananam. Then Nididhyasanam, you assimilate it. You are the child of God. You are the servant of God. If you really think that you are a child of God, what is there to be afraid of? God will look after you. The child is not afraid. The parents will look after me. Whatever happens. When we move to this present mutt where we are staying now, our neighbor, they had a young child. Robert and Mataji were going for the walk, and Robert saw the child on the top of the tree. Robert said, you be careful. The child said, no, nothing, doesn't matter. My dad is doctor. So you fall down. No, nothing, my dad is a doctor. So children has got firm faith, parents will look after. So if we really believe that God is our father or mother, I'm a child of God, what is that to be afraid of? God will protect me. That conviction comes through Mananam and Nididhyasanam. You think about it, reason about it, and make it part and parcel of you. These are the way to overcome this and manifesting the divinity. You think that you are the infinite Atman, or you think you are the child of God, you become that. Nothing can frighten you then.
Simplest analyses. I see that the same as we say a man possesses the body, the mind, and the soul. is basically that soul, the manifestation of that soul. To come out rather than put the importance of mind and body. Because mind and body will go,
Yes,
but the soul is there. And you want to manifest this soul so that you become part of the total soul
yes,
in that simplest sense. Would that be right to analyze it?
yes. What the soul within me is the same soul within present in everybody else. So become when the body and mind, psychophysical system is gone, you become one with that infinite presence. So that we come to the realization that Atman and Brahman are one and the same. The individual soul and universal soul are same. That's our real nature.
Mataji, what happens when you get realization to the soul? What happens to the soul?
Soul doesn't get realization. Soul is already there, it's there.
It's the birth, you get out of the death birth cycle.
Yes.
So the soul is reborn, person is reborn with the soul.
The
Once
soul,
realization what happens.
the soul takes another body. That's what the case of all of us, from birth to death, and then another rebirth. But when the person realizes that he or she is infinite Atman, that soul breaks free from this cycle of birth and death. It becomes one with the infinite soul. See the pot of water immersed in the ocean. You break the pot. What happens to the water? It becomes one with the infinite ocean. That's what happens when this psychophysical system is the pot containing the little bit of that infinite soul. We call it the individual soul. When the psychophysical system is broken, destroyed, becomes one with the infinite soul, infinite universal soul.
That is called Brahman.
That's called Brahman. Then what happens? What remains? What remains is. We cannot say what it is. Because who is going to say? There's nobody. There's only one existence. That is why they say the realization cannot be described. How can you describe? Description comes when you try to limit within the mind. This is infinite. There's no mind there. Everything is gone. The mind is gone. The intellect is gone. You have all the psychophysical system is gone. Then what is?
We move on now to listening to a guided meditation by dear old Pravrajika Gayatriprana, who used to come here so many times.